For us, it was a no-brainer. I mean, with what we were doing with renewable energies, we are extremely involved on a North America-wide level when it comes to renewable energy. And when you think about the different types, hydro, geothermal, cellulosic ethanol, wind energy, there are so many different forms of renewable energy. You know, you certainly can't be a specialist in all of them. Our niche is biomass, using renewable carbon clean energies to replace coal and fossil fuels, things like that. Because we're involved on a routine basis, part of our marketing strategy and how we sell our business is to encourage our clients to be sustainable and to make that transition from dirty coal and other fuels to clean fuels. Being in an early adopters program shows our own commitment so that when we go to our customers, we can say, well, we're not just telling you, we do it too. We were founded in 1972. It started as a non-destructive testing company. An example would be like the Enbridge energy pipeline. Whenever you weld two pieces of steel together, you have to have some level of assurance that the welder knew what they were doing. So there are various tests that you can do to assure that the pipeline's not going to burst and the ship's not going to sink and the boiler's going to be able to sustain the pressures that it's required to sustain. We used to be based out of Duluth, and that's why we're a Minnesota corporation. I think maybe '79 when we transitioned over to Superior, Wisconsin. And it was around that time in the probably early '80s that we started adding on our different services. The chemistry laboratory came on in the early '80s. Construction materials testing, drilling, geotechnical engineering, that all came in about the mid-'80s. The late '80s was our industrial hygiene group, environmental consulting, and safety consulting. So we're a pretty diverse organization. You know, I couldn't ask for a better place in the world to really be. You know, if you think about a center of economy, the Duluth Superior area is pretty unique. We've got a lot of infrastructure, we've got a lot of industry, and it's all in a fairly small community. Geographically speaking, for a fuels analysis laboratory that services North America, you can't get much more center in the middle of North America. I mean, it's as close as we can really get, and be on a shipping port. It puts us in a position so that a lot of the overseas commerce is done right here in our own backyard. We get to understand how the ship works and the flow of material through it, and so that's our advantage when it comes to being able to work on an international basis. Being in business in a community is a privilege. At the end of the day, it's the companies that give back that are actually really regarded in the community as the real asset. There are many, many benefits in being part of the community. You know, corporate citizenship is what we call it. You know, there's a huge value in that. Can we be more fuel efficient? Can we use vehicles that are not so fuel dependent? I know there's lots of hybrid options out there, but they're, again, going to cost more money, but is the balance a good payoff? You know, and those are the kinds of things that I've never even looked into. Water consumption, you know, all of the natural resources that we used, never even skimmed the surface on that. I haven't a clue how much energy we waste and water we waste. I'd like to think that we find ways to reduce our electric bill and reduce our need for fuels, to reduce our presence on the grid, you know, to find ways to not use so much paper. You know, I mean, if you look in this office, you know, you'd probably say, okay, at the end of this scenario, we're going to use this office as an example and see if we can turn it paperless, you know. I mean, those are the types of things I'm sure that we're going to be talking about. When you think about how technical it is to learn how to be sustainable, this is a vehicle to be able to do it cost effectively for us as well. It's kind of like an opportunity for training that would, if we were to try and go out and seek this on our own, would be extremely time consuming and expensive. There's a lot of evidence out there right now where I think we know it's time to start looking at things differently, but for some reason everybody's still in the mindset of, well, but it's not me that has to change. Everybody else has to change, but I don't need to change. It would be nice to think that this would be used as a model and as a step so that as soon as we're done, there's 100 other companies ready to take step 2, you know, and then 1,000 takes step 3. You know, I mean, if it truly works, it should be exponentially increasing as the efforts move forward. You know, you model the first 10 or 15 in this case, and then you move that on to the next 100 and then the next 1,000. And if it could be used in that light, that would be wonderful.